The Mystara project is proud to present part 29 of the Law of Mystara series. In this video, we take a look at AC0. In this year, the first Thyatian Emperor was crowned, marking the dawn of the modern age. At this time, Alphatia had been weakened by subject nation revolts and Zonga use. To arrest imperial decline, Emperor Kerathar IV was deposed by the Grand Council, before he could enjoy the Millennium celebration that he had poured so much time and gold into. The youthful and energetic Alphas VI was selected as the new emperor and king of Vertalock. Alphas made hard choices to stop further imperial decline. He made stern reprisals against wizards who would not fight for the empire, and ceased the expensive practice of hiring crack non-magical foreign troops. The Alphatians rallied and were able to halt the Thyatian advance on the Isle of Dawn. A stalemate ensued, eventually leading to Alphatia and Thyatis concluding the Treaty of Edireo to end hostilities, as both their economies had been ruined by the war. The kingdoms of the Pearl Islands and Ocalia were also signatories to the treaty, which guaranteed their independence. Ocalia was greatly weakened by the war. Alphas VI then recalled his forces to put down rebellions on the Isle of Dawn, and managed to regain control of the eastern half of the isle. Meanwhile, the Alphatians of Esterhold overran, and burnt to the ground, a Gennite settlement in the northwest of the peninsula. They then built their own settlement, called Skyfire, on the ashes of the burnt settlement. Later in the year, the kings of Ocalia and the Pearl Islands went to Thyatis city for more treaty signing. The Thyatian general Zendrolian Tatriocanitas treacherously assassinated King Licinius Trenzantenbium of Thyatis, the king of the Pearl Islands and the king of Ocalia at the meeting. Zendrolian announced that he had to kill his friend Licinius, because he had been driven mad by Alphatian magics, and was planning to rule as cruelly as the Alphatians, with the support of the kings of Ocalia and the Pearl Islands. He then, with military support, crowned himself emperor of Thyatis, the Pearl Islands and Ocalia. His first decree was to make all treaties void. General Cantrius was one who fully supported Zendrolian becoming emperor. He was awarded a dominion on the northeastern border and charged with defending the empire from the Alassian nomads to the east. He named his dominion Cantrium, and founded the port settlement of Cantridae, meaning sons of Cantrius, where his troops were stationed. The Gulf, to the south of his dominion, was also named Cantrium. Emperor Zendrolian I quickly invaded Ocalia and the Pearl Islands. Exhausted by war, these kingdoms quickly surrendered, but resistance movements began. Thyatis also conquered the western half of the Isle of Dawn, and resistance movements started there as well. The Grand Duchy of Westrork was founded, being the western half of Dunnerdale, conquered from the Alphatians. Ratabius offered to create a Thyatian air force for Emperor Zendrolian, if imperial funding could be provided. Zendrolian, well aware of the importance of aerial superiority, agreed, and the Ratabius Aerial Corps was founded. Ratabius was awarded a duchy for his services, located to the north of Thyatis, and west of Cantrium, which he named after himself. Emperor Zendrolian commissioned a dwarven architect to design his new palace. The Traladarans began trading with Harbour Town, Thyatis, the Meditor Elves and the Five Shires Hin. This ended the Traladaran Dark Age. Humanoid tribes migrated to Traladara, mostly settling some distance from Traladaran communities. Goblins entered the Vufold Hills and the Dimrak Forest. Orcs and hobgoblins settled elsewhere. They warred amongst themselves, and against the other sentient communities of Traladara. The Highforge clan of gnomes migrated from the Altan Tepes and settled in the Vufold Hills of Traladara, establishing the Kingdom of Highforge. They traded with the Traladarans via the annual gnome caravan to Marilanev, and assisted the Traladarans and elves against the humanoids. The Kalarii elven clan migrated from Alfheim, possibly the Selena region which the Feudals now occupy, to the central Traladaran woods. Cordial relations were established with the Traladarans. The trading post of Riflian was established to trade with the Traladarans and others. The elves warred against the recently arrived humanoids. The Kalarii introduced the philosophy of Ilsundal to the Vialia clan, and presented them with a daughter of their tree of life. Presumably, the Vialia were originally followers of Ord Anna. That is the law according to Gaz 1, the Grand Duchy of Karamikos. However, according to the Hollow World sourcebook, the Kalarii settled Traladara in BC 800, instead of following Mylodon north. At this time, the first Alassian agricultural settlements were formed on the coastal plain and inland oases. The nomads called the farmers, the Hazar. To the northwest, dwarfs built the city of Upper Dengar, to facilitate their growing trade with foreigners, without having to let them into the lower city. Along the Dread Coast, 5 Shires Hin shipmasters established naval trade with Traladarans, Makai, Minroth traders, Alphile elves, and the Empire of Thyatis. Minroth traders quickly fill the void left by the end of Thyatian-Alphatian trade, developing trade with the new empire. After 200 years of diplomacy, the Eastwind clan had gained over 75% of Streel Plain clan's allegiance. At this time, Centaur tribes began migrating from the Ethengarian steppes and the territories of the Atruagan clans to Alfheim, seeking greener pastures and relief from human and humanoid competitors. By this stage, savage coast Araks had been hunted to extinction. Between AC 0 and AC 20, Emperor Zendrolian of Thyatis raised monuments to Lusinius, named the gold coin the Lucin with a bust of Lusinius on its obverse, and named places after him, like a port east of Thyatis City in AC 10, the Thyatis City Magic College, and a tower on the Isle of Dawn. Zendrolian's reign felt little different to the oppression of the Alphatians for Thyatis's subject territories. So, the empire was threatened by fierce struggles for independence on the Isle of Dawn, Ocalia and the Pearl Islands. During the reign of Zendrolian, dwarven mercenaries from Dengar who aided Thyatis in its struggle for independence, were invited to construct the emperor's palace on top of the central hill of Thyatis City. In reward for their service, the emperor ceded them a barony in the central Altan Tepe mountains which they called Buroha, meaning fiery cave. They built a town at the base of Makrist, which means broken mountain. They formed their own clan, Farkres, meaning fang wreckers. In the decades after the Thyatian rebellion, between AC 0 and perhaps as late as AC 90, Emperor Alphas VI and the Grand Council set the Alphatian Empire on a schedule of rebuilding. They imposed fierce penalties for wizards who performed official acts of rulership, judgment, or government service, while under the influence of Zonga fruit. They turned the empire's magical focus on rebuilding agriculture and trade. They purged their military of the incompetent and the addicted. Even so, the new empire of Thyatis, under Emperor Zendrolian, and later under Empress Valentia, recovered much more quickly from the war and prospered much sooner. During this period, Alphatia turned much of its attention on building and holding its dominions in the Far East. It kept up a fierce military presence on the disputed Isle of Dawn, but mostly kept its attention on the eastern territories. Sometime between AC 0 and AC 100, Alfheim elves discovered the Dreamland's good magic point, which they appreciated could assist their recovery and mental health after resting there. After its discovery, elves started making pilgrimages to the site, and travelers ensured they detoured there to de-stress. Sometime between AC 0 and AC 100, Papasalinus the Faun was born in the Dreamlands. Sometime between AC 0 and AC 250, minor disputes over the use of forest wood on Alfile led to a major rift between Verdia and Medita elves. The Verdius retreated to the woods of Alfile, in isolation from their kin, and became known as the Wood Elves. Their keeper, Alwyn Verdia, quested with a few brave companions to find a clan relic, to replace their original tree left behind in Grunland. After 5 years adventuring, which included outer planar travels, she returned with some of her surviving companions, with a 30-foot-tall, intricately carved oak tree called the Carven Oak. Meanwhile, the Meditas remained on the coast and continued seafaring, becoming known as the Water Elves. Sometime between AC 0 and AC 515, the kobold, Skolda, was captured by Thyatian troops, and became a slave buffoon to an eminent, but borderline chaotic, Thyatian prefect. Over the next few years, Skolda befriended the prefect, and became the captain of his guard. Between AC 0 and AC 900, a number of petty kings, such as Ithran, Ivanovich and the wizard Damara, ruled small territories in Traladara, no larger than a 24-mile radius. Sometime between AC 0 and AC 999, Termes was a clever Thyatian show-off of a thief. His cleverness impressed Korotiku, who sponsored him on the path of the epic hero. Details of his path are unknown, but could have involved the following deeds. He recovered the lost Mirror of Infinite Reflections, a major artifact of the Sphere of Thought, from the entropic outer plane of the fiend Hersismus. He ventured to the entropic outer plane of Darga, and destroyed his dark ledger of forgotten names, by paradoxically writing his own name in the book. He hired a mage to create a sword +5 of slicing called Harpe. After breaking into a vault of a temple of Tiki, he gained a stash of luck potions. He then managed to behead some fearsome opponents with a single slice of Harpe, by drinking one of the potions in advance. These feats, in conjunction with his own skilled storytelling of his deeds in taverns around the world, elevated Harpe to legendary status. As master of his thieves' guild, he trained a deputy to progress 12 levels and succeed him as guild master and inherit his legendary sword, but not the luck potions. It took him 5 years to complete the near-impossible task of a series of tests, on the world of Puzzle, in Kurotiku's home plane. The tests required puzzle solving, complex decoding of texts and maps, the casting of spell scrolls, trap detection and removal, climbing and feats of agility. After completing these tasks, Termes became the patron of clever show-off thieves, like the Kingdom of Thieves in Karamikos, rakes, travelers like adventurers, messengers and merchants, heralds, speed, the youth, fertility, healing and pastoralists. This concludes part 29 of the Lore of Mystara series, covering the year AC0. A watershed moment, heralding the dawn of the modern age through the crowning of the first Thyatian Emperor, and increased trade in southeast Brune.